Greetings and salutations, dear lords and ladies of YouTube. Welcome to Steve Explores. Once again, we have set out across the plains and valleys, over the hills and mountains, and have ventured deep into the forests and woods to find the hidden castles of Austria. Today, we're at the castle ruin Hohenwang in Styria, so let's go and explore. The castle ruin Hohenwang sits on a three-sided rocky spur 736 meters above sea level, overlooking the village of Hohenwang in the upper Meurthe Valley. Parts of the castle date back to the 12th century and to the founders of Styria, the Epstein dynasty. The construction of the castle took place somewhere between 1122 and 1160. In the mid-12th century, large parts of these lands fell to the House of Stubenberg, and Hohenwang was given to a close relative, Eckinger I of Landseer. From this point on, he and his family called themselves the Lords of Hohenwang. The castle can only be approached from the east, and originally was protected by a 25-meter wide moat. Today, the moat is not as wide due to it being secured, but it is still quite deep and quite steep. To access the castle, one would have to cross the long bridge, at the end of which there was a drawbridge. The gatehouse consisted of a large door with drawbridge and a small door for quick access. On the upper level there was a defensive gallery, which connected to the bastion on the left. Most of the gatehouse and the walls you see in this area have been reconstructed. The gatehouse dates back to the 17th century and was originally a lot larger than you see now. Directly behind the first gatehouse, there is this narrow area with more defensive positions on all sides. Here in the lower courtyard, we also have a bastion from the 17th century. Even if the gatehouse or the lower courtyard was overrun, this, with its high walls, would definitely be a remarkable defensive position. Today, the upper part of the bastion is called the High Garden. The bastion was a permanently manned defensive structure. Everything the defenders needed to repel a sudden frontal attack on the castle was located here. It was a large elevated square structure with high walls and defensive positions on all four sides. Inside the bastion, there would have been structures to house and supply all the guards. Today only the outer walls and the quick access to the gatehouse tower remains. Here we have the entrance to the gatehouse tower. So, let's get back to the lower courtyard. The castle became an administrative seat, and due to its location and extraordinary size, one of the most important medieval fortified locations in the region. The strategic position of the castle allowed for far views over the whole Meurthe Valley from the north to the south. To promote Christianity, a priest was permanently stationed at the castle from the 13th century onwards. In 1477, King Matthias Corvinus invaded Styria, and the castle was occupied by Hungarian mercenaries for 23 years, until the end of the 15th century. During the Turkish Wars in 1683, the region was defended mainly by troops from Hohenwang and Neuberg, but the castle was never seriously threatened. The curtain walls of the lower courtyard have long decayed and fallen. What we do know is that in this part of the castle there was a stable. The ramp you see was originally roofed and supported underneath by 4 stone arches, one of which has been reconstructed. We're now leaving the newer parts of the castle behind us. Everything from now on is from the 12th century. The entrance to the residential castle was additionally secured by this double-angled defensive gallery called the barbican. The barbican had its own gatehouse and drawbridge. Once again, another great defensive position. During renovation work in 1989, this 3-parted cross was discovered above the 3rd gate. In the second half of the 17th century, the lords of the House of Schreffenberger, who had possessed the castle for the last 200 years, stopped using it. And from here on, the maintenance was increasingly neglected. In 1700, a lightning strike caused fire, however, restoration work took place immediately.
Now we're in the upper castle. Behind me the shield wall, with its 20 meters high, 2 meter thick walls, surrounded the whole upper castle.
The massive shield wall protected even against artillery, although it was built in the 12th century.
Nice to see on top of the shield wall are the crenellations, and especially nice are the old wooden beams from the 12th century that remain in the wall. Due to these high and secure walls, this is one of the few castles in Austria without a keep. On this side of the upper castle there was a palace building. It had 3 levels and many residential rooms. What is really amazing is that some of the wall paintings have survived. On this side there were the kitchens. Here, a 12th century oven has been reconstructed. Here you can see the kitchen actually had a stone roof. Many of the buildings were built directly onto the outer wall, and as the outer walls fell, so did the buildings.
The final blow for the castle came at the end of the 18th century, when Emperor Joseph II introduced the so-called roof tax. To avoid payment, the roofing was removed, which led to severe decay of the castle. Not only Hohenwang, but many castles throughout the Austrian Empire faced this fate at this time. And this is the main reason why today there are so many castle ruins in Austria. In 1770, there was a large earthquake, which severely damaged walls and buildings. 10 years later, the castle was officially abandoned. Large parts of the stones were removed, transported to the valley, and reused to build the more comfortable palace of Hohenwang in 1772.
Centrally positioned in the upper castle, there was a chapel built in the Romanesque style in the 12th century. It soon developed to a place of pilgrimage and was therefore maintained and rebuilt many times. Later, the chapel had to be demolished as this wing of the castle was in danger of collapse. The relics were removed and now reside in the parish church of Hohenwang. There are not many remains to be seen, but the chapel has actually never been fully excavated. The rest of the walled remains in the castle are from things like cellars, grain stores, the Great Hall and a bathhouse. The castle was occupied from the 12th to the 18th century, but was then in the end abandoned for more luxurious accommodation in the valley. The castle was left to decay over the next 300 years and was even bombed during World War II. In the 1960s, first renovation and protective measures were undertaken by the local Castle Conservation Society, and they're ongoing to this day. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the episode. See you again next time on Steve Explores. Till then, bye bye.